The suspected assassin of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. And as we reflect on the tragedy, what's probably not helping is the divisive rhetoric, like recent comments from Congresswoman Omar and Congresswoman Crockett.
There are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
Complete rewriting of history.
Yeah, there is nothing more effed up. These people are full of shit.
Me calling you, I want to be Hitler, all those things are like not necessarily saying go out and hurt somebody.
And this is disturbing. There are reports of teachers and firefighters and other officials being put on leave or fired over posts where they celebrate the assassination of Charlie Kirk. People can have differing ideas and different opinions, but we used to be a society, Greg, when in death, whether you disagree with the person, like the person or not, we could at least show some decency. How have we sunk to this point as well?
Well, it was fun. I was scrolling down X and I found a story of a teacher celebrating Kirk's death, and I make a note of it. I'm going to use this for my show. And then there was another one, a hospital worker, and then a councilman, and then a college professor, and then a politician. I couldn't keep up. It wouldn't end. It was being documented by liberals on TikTok. I felt a physical revulsion, no different than turning over a rock and seeing a vast network of worms. The ugliness is granular. And I'm sure, if you look at, when Lincoln was shot, there were people cheering. When JFK was killed, there were people that were happy. So those end up being like a short phrase in a history book or in a movie by Oliver Stone, but we catalog it. It's there, it's documented, and it's such a low bar for public expression that it's amplified. But to me, it's not, those opinions, not the politicians, but just the everyday people. It's amazing how shocked they are when they get fired. That's the story, because they assume that their opinion is widely accepted and condoned. Their bubble has deceived them into thinking it is. They have not left that world. And so when they say, I'm glad he's dead, and people are like, what? They're like, wait, what did I say that was wrong? What is it? They have been brainwashed. They assume they're voicing a conventional assumption, the way a hypnotized kid assumes that clucking like a chicken at an assembly is appropriate. No, you were just hypnotized. We're all in silos, obviously, but we get out more. We don't go online and wish death because we're aware of our surroundings and we understand it. But there are people that don't do that. Look at Stephen King. He went on X and said that Kirk wanted a stone gaze. He since took it down. But, how does that happen? He is living in some kind of world where he thought that was not just true, that it was okay to talk about.
Martha, your thoughts on this?
A couple of things. One of the things that I've said this week is that I hope that this terrible assassination has caused some people who never watched what he was doing, never watched the debate tapes, didn't see Prove Me Wrong, watch him go back and forth with people, are now actually doing that. And that when they do that, they say, oh, you know what, he seems like a sweet guy, somebody whose heart is in the right place, and that's an eye-opening experience. One of the things that I find really interesting is what is happening at the major networks. I don't know if it's too late for them already, but you're seeing the opposite response that we saw after George Floyd, where they all sort of oh, we better get in line and we better put out our memo and our statement about how we feel about Black Lives Matter. We're on the right page. We're doing this. So now, as you say, shock. They fired Matthew Dowd because Matthew Dowd said hateful words lead to hateful actions. I'm not surprised that this would have happened to him, suggesting he then apologized, but he got fired. And in the statement, Brian Roberts and the leadership at NBC said this: Charlie was an advocate for open debate whose faith was important to him, reminds us of the fragility of life and the urgent need for unity in our nation. That is different. And what's happening at CBS is different. They're trying to backpedal and figure out how to get around actually speaking to the whole country again. And so I see the seeds of something happening here. And hopefully there will be something positive.
Prime time.
There's a spiritual awakening going on, and it's called a turning point. It's happened before in American history when the society gets sick, and then all of a sudden something happens, and you try to cleanse that evil from the country. I love what the media is doing. It's about damn time. And it's not cancel culture. Okay, this is America healing. Cancel culture is when you say something politically incorrect about the WNBA or about COVID, and then you lose your job. When you're celebrating death and fellow Americans getting shot in the head for freedom of speech, you're complicit and you're part of the problem, and you don't belong in civil society. So I'm glad people are losing their jobs for this. Every person that loses their job for celebrating Charlie's assassination is a step in the right direction for this country. There is an assassination cult. We've seen the polling on it. 55% of liberals think it's okay to politically assassinate people. All right, so you see it bubbling up on the internet, and that's what Stephen King's problem is. He's in a cabin in the woods in Maine by himself behind a screen all day, and then he says something ridiculous and gets smacked around because the man hasn't touched another human being in 3 decades. And that's why Charlie was so impressive. He physically went out to the quad and was surrounded by flesh.
So he's the opposite of King.
The exact opposite. He's looking people in the eyeballs. He's not behind a screen. I love what Cox said today. He said, get off the screen and touch the grass. People have to get outside and look at each other as human beings. And I believe we're starting to see that.
You know, you'll appreciate this, that I keep thinking of, you know, the breastplate of righteousness, but it's the shoes of peace. And so you travel, we are charged with traveling with shoes of peace and then using the sword of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit that Charlie exemplified every time he opened his mouth. Look, you talked earlier about how the impunity with which liberals or people like this violent rhetoric, you know, flies out of their mouth. They have zero fear of any consequences. It reminds me of dating apps or going on a date. Women's worst fear is being killed. Men's worst fear is that the chick's going to be ugly. And that's exactly what it is with conservatives and liberals now in this climate where horrifyingly violence has been numbed for the opiates. It's an opiate of the population. And here's the thing. This killer was 22. We know this. The killer of Annunciation Church a couple weeks ago was 23. So anyone who claims that our young people is not highly susceptible to this, again, conditioning and programming that is online, the root of it is exactly the violent rhetoric by these Congress people and senators and teachers and people in influential positions, because that's what radicalization is. It's when things are repeated and it normalizes. So extreme language is all of a sudden it feels normal. And then all of a sudden it's echo chambered and amplified in horrific algorithms like on X. So these guys just see it all the time. And then all of a sudden they begin to feel us versus them. And then they isolate behaviorally. And then they have psychological effects, anxiety. You know, I'm angry about this, so it overrides rational thought. And that is what inspires the offline violence. The online violent rhetoric, all of that leads to the offline violence. And there's a direct correspondence. So I truly hope, to your point, that everyone in these influential positions reimagines and reconsiders what comes out of their mouth, because it can have indeed deadly consequences.
For everybody, one thing I saw so positive today, the young Republicans of Connecticut and the young Democrats of Connecticut, leaders of both of those groups, they did a joint statement condemning, and something that Charlie certainly would be proud of, seeing that kind of civil debate.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.